whatever the hell they're calling it this week. Only chance we got is if we all come together on this. Help each other out. We're New Yorkers, that's what we do. Remember that. Because we're gonna be tested. Bad enough some idiot thinks a time like this is nothing but a golden opportunity to steal shit. And I don't mean food or medicine, I'm talking about stuff they don't even use. I mean, who the fuck needs a goddamn flat screen right now?
Hey, gotta see it to believe it.
Everybody in there is an ex-murderer. Most of them are waiting on trial for possession. But look, the harmless ones are gonna head for home. It's the hard time, hardcore we gotta worry about. Those cats could take some serious advantage of things. So stay safe out there, New York. Keep your doors locked. And if you see any of those righteous people, steer clear of them. You hear me? Be smart.
Better get yourself into a hazmat suit, Agent. We just got word that the experimental antivirals lost in the dark zone have been located.
Oh golly, we got to talk about that, don't
You
we?
and the team need to go secure them
Let's talk
right
about
now.
the big thing, and then we'll talk about the smaller big thing, and then the other smaller big thing, and then that's pretty much the things. But the main event of Raw, and this was for April 7th, and again, you know, when I said I love the stuff on SmackDown with this triple threat situation, imagine that. Because it fits, and these guys are talking me into it. And I mean, even the people on the periphery, Paul Heyman is on the periphery of this thing. He can talk. So on Raw, they had Heyman in the ring in the main event spot, the last of the night. Because everybody wants to know whose side's he going to be on. If Punk wants him to be in his corner. What about Roman Reigns? So Heyman establishes at the top. I've come here to address a couple of these things that have been going around. I want to address them in order. Number one, I will always be loyal to my tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
Dropping below normal levels.
And number two, I'll always be loyal to my best friend, CM Punk. And just because I'm loyal to both of them doesn't mean that I'm going to be disloyal to either one. And for WrestleMania, let's get one thing perfectly clear. And boom, right there, Seth's music interrupts him. And he woos to the ring again. And woos, and the people are wooing. And he's wooing right up in Paul's face. And boy, when you see Paul Heyman's face, it does make you go, whoa. And he said, tonight I'm here. It's all about you, Paul Heyman. Everybody wants to know. Everybody's asking you, whose side are you on? And are you on the side of your best friend, CM Punk? And they chant CM Punk, CM Punk. And this was kind of telling, were you on the side of your wise man, Roman Reigns? And they kind of booed. They're starting to boo, which I'm sure Roman Reigns could give a shit because he wrestles his, handful of times a year and makes appearances every once in a while. And I don't think he cares for the money he's making. But they booed him. And it said, told Paul that, hey, Roman Reigns doesn't give a damn about you. And he told the story of how he used him and given him no respect and then left him to the wolves and didn't help him. And then he did the same thing with Punk. And Seth Rollins did a great job here. This is kind of like This was like the manager segment that I talked about earlier when we were going over SmackDown, where it's normally up to the manager to lay out the history and the nuts and bolts and the facts and figures and dates and places and things that may trip up the average wrestler. But Seth nailed this. He drew all of the stuff we've seen. He made both Punk and Roman seem like that, as related to Paul Heyman, that they were some selfish, self-centered assholes that, left him to
Vital signs
fend for
indicate
himself.
probable infection.
So he made a good case, and Paul was selling it good with the facials and the whole 9 yards. He was, it's just the introspection you see in those wide, pie-shaped, cuddling eyes.
Core temperature is deep
So
below
Seth felt
optimal
bad
levels.
for Paul, and it'd be easiest, Paul, if you removed yourself from the situation. But you either can't do that or you won't do that. So I think for your own good, right here, right now, I ought to remove you. It'll be quick and easy. Just a move to the head and one quick stomp, and it'll be all over.
Seth Brown was not in the. They did not like Rollins threatening Heyman.
Yes, no, that's the thing. When Seth pushed him, it was they were taking up for Paul. Which, and by the way, and I've said, I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm not even saying it's anytime soon, but longer term, unless he's anxious to ride off in the sunset, Paul knows that he's probably better characterized in the heel contender's role. So it'll be even better when the people are taking up on him for getting pushed around and then he fucking. But
Major body
nevertheless,
temperature is now hypothermic.
Seth has pushed him around and he's bullying him and he's slapped him and he's not hard because, the insulting. And Paul bows up for the first time and says, "Don't put your damn hands on me again." And he got a pop. Now we got Paul bowing up and Seth grabbed him by the face and pushed him into the corner like he was going to maul him. And suddenly, Commercial Eddie to save Paulie. Clobbering Tom is on the way. And here comes Punk. And he hits the ring and he dives Seth Rollins, probably somewhat like he upended Matty of the Buckaroos before he beat the shit out of him at all out. And they fought out on the floor, went over the desk, and they knocked over the Prime Station and into the stairs, and Punk reared back and was going to try to stomp Seth on the steel stairs, but Seth rolled into the ring, and when Punk went after him, Seth stomped Punk. And Punk settled it. He's checking on Punk, and he's going, I'm so sorry, but he's right in position for the stomp. And Seth sees him. And slowly he turns, step by step, inch by... No, actually,
Warning.
he didn't turn, he just ran and jumped up in the air and stomped right short of Paul. And Paul went,
Tension temporarily stable.
and Seth looked down at him and said, now you owe me a favor. Because he didn't kill him. So what in the world is going to happen next? I'm loving it as the Heyman turns. I'm loving this, bro.
Yeah, man, I don't think Heyman would end up with Seth Rollins based on the way it was set up, but would he feel obligated to... I mean, it's different when you have a favor you owe a friend versus some guy who just...
Yeah, no, I don't think he's obligated because you didn't kill me, so and I will in turn then paint your house.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Maybe that works like swerving out of Page. I really don't know. No, this was good stuff. And Rollins came out of it looking strong, and he needed to. And really good. Again, like you, I wonder how long babyface, whimpering babyface Heyman is going to be a thing.
But he did go up here a little bit.
Yeah, but, it always ends up with him, like, on his knees crying, or
Yes.
making the prayer symbol and crying, or whatever the fuck is going on. Good stuff, and I agree with you. I don't know how the match will go. We'll see. I'm a big fan of three-way matches. They've done a good job of making they've done a better job of building up the three-way match than anything else for WrestleMania. by far.
But there's some minds involved in this too, so I have high hopes that, you know, they're not just gonna fucking drive a truck to the ring with a bed full of ladders and tables and chairs and etc. It's gonna have some drama to it also.
Core body temperature is critically
A
low.
few other things on Raw. Make mention that they again have more drone shots than the Travel Channel. If I want to take a trip around the world, I don't need to buy a plane ticket. I could just watch Raw. They're in love with the drone shots. Sometime they ought to have a drone shot
Vital signs indicate
from
problem of
a
infection.
drone that actually drops, like comes down into the arena and one of the wrestlers is driving it, or flying it, or operating it, hanging off of it.
Hanging, I mean, operating it is one thing.
Body
Hanging
temperature
off of
dropping
it,
below normal
Well,
levels.
no, get one of those big ones like you had over in New Jersey, where you can hang off a son of a bitch. It was the size of a Toyota Tercel or whatever,
I mean, maybe if you had
and just have the drone fly the wrestler right into the arena.
I don't know if you can get one that size into the arena on the pathway that they seem to use for all these shots, but
And make it a stadium.
let it make one.
That way, there's no roof.
Holy shit, is that Charlotte Flair on a drone? I think it would make the fans change their attitude.
There you go, because if Flair did it, Rick, in the helicopter 40 years ago, so now 40 years later, a drone into a stadium, and anybody that comes down in a drone is over.
It's actually a great idea. Drones like ring cars, like they had at WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 6. They make a little ring and it flies up and it carries you to the ring.
Yeah, and they can have a little claw on the drone like they have the claw machine at the Cracker Barrel, and it can just go down in the locker room and pick up one of the boys and carry him out the aisleway and drop him in the ring.
Just like a Cracker Barrel.
I can see it now,
What else did you
just
see?
like a Cracker Barrel.
What else did you see on this? Remember,
You know, and chicken fried chicken with sawmill gravy on top, 2 sides of hash brown casserole, 2 eggs over easy on top of the chicken and gravy, with 2 sides of bacon and some biscuits, and you got breakfast.
Core body temperature
Anyway.
dropping.
Also on Raw, they had a history package between Bianca Belair and Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. And they had Adam Pearce in the ring so that he could do the obligatory announcement of the triple threat match. And we've got now every match except Cody and Cena is either a 3-way or a 4-way or whatever. But again, he brings all 3 of them out, and this is, we've talked about it, and there's wasn't anything wrong with this segment, but it's so similar to what they've been doing because they had to stretch out
Body temperature dropping below normal
build for
levels.
almost 2 months before this thing. So, Rhea and Bianca look like stars in there, all in the leather fucking pageantry, and Io Sky, expression on her face looks like she's in a dentist's office. She's very troubled. And Pierce makes the triple threat and wants the signatures on the contract. And Bianca didn't want Rhea around before, but now she does want her around because she wants to fight her and kick her ass. And the fans are chanting, Rhea, Rhea. They don't like Bianca fucking with Rhea, and I think they don't want to boo Io, but I don't know that they're taking her all that seriously. But basically, Bianca signs the contract and shoves it into Rhea Ripley's chest. Thankfully, she's got plenty of padding. She wasn't injured. And then Rhea signed it and threw it back at Bianca. And as they're arguing for like the 4th time now, Io comes up to go and gets
Dropping core
pie-faced
temperature
again.
detected.
And just turns around and starts to walk out. But as Rhea and Bianca are arguing and involved in themselves, Io jumps up off the top rope and front kicks both up with another 65 feet and signs the contract. So we got a 3-way there. Yeah.
I don't know about her, but because
She looks like she's troubled. She looks like she's at the dentist. Well, she's at the dentist office. She has that look on her face like, is this supposed to be good or bad? Make me thankful.
It's almost too easy.
And then, what about Cora James? So did you watch this segment?
You look like you got some gas.
is they have needed to do something for Jay. I mean, Jay, everybody likes Jay, but then Jay slipped and fell on his dive a couple weeks ago, or not fell, but just didn't clear the rope. And then they were doing the thing where he was doubting himself, and then Gunther just beat the teetotal shit out of Jimmy right in front of Jay last week. The heat angle, you just knew he was going to have something to say about that. And I think this worked to get people, to get Jay back to where people are going. They've done the underdog thing with him, but now people needed to have some faith. I think it gave him some faith. Because Gunther was out to the ring after the big package where he was bathed in Jimmy's blood last week and everything. And the fans are chanting, "We want Jay, we want Jay." But Gunther didn't even have to say anything before he even spoke. Jay's music played, and he did the entrance from the stands, and with the people yeeting. And Gunther's in the ring just laughing, and he's rolling his sleeves up like, I'm going to have to dust this clown off again. And when Jay got in, he slapped the microphone out of Gunther's hand, and everybody, ooh. And he took a minute and gathered up his confidence, and the people were chanting, "Uso, Uso." And Jay didn't do the promo that he normally does, the Jay Ye Do So promo. And when the fans tried to start eating, he quieted them down because he wanted to hear it. He gave them the thing. No, this is serious. He said, Gunther, you got a mother.
Core body
I got a
temperature
mother.
drop.
You got a mother. What do you talk about with your mother? You talk about family stuff? You talk about how's
Alert.
grandma
Infection
doing or
progress
whatever.
halted.
Well, I got a mother, and I had to tell my mother that her oldest son got 15 stitches in his head. He's in the hospital. And she asked me, why didn't you protect him? And I said it's because I was afraid of Gunther. I was afraid of you. You had me. But that wasn't enough. You had to bring my family into it. And then he starts firing up a little bit. But the
Drop in
light
core
bulb
temperature
went off.
detected.
And I see this was a whole thing, but he ended up with, not ended up with, but he built up to, Gunther, I'm not afraid of you no more. And that got a big pop. And Gunther's standing there not knowing how to take it. The smile is gone. And and Jay said before WrestleMania, give your family a hug and a kiss.
Hey, Mom.
Because I'm going to ask the Lord to forgive me for the man that I'm about to become. And the people
Core body temperature drop.
Ahorita no.
promised to win and be the world heavyweight champion, which he's going to. Mark my words in your little black book, wherever you keep it. And Jay walked off and
Te
left
quedan vendiendo, te voy yo, Mom.
Gunther standing there perplexed, and the fans.
Acá de vuelvo yo.
And that's what he needed.
Yo voy, Mom.
This close to this thing to get the people ready to see him win this. I thought he did a great job.
He excels in moments of emotion, and this was a different promo than every promo he has done. The crowd was with him. He delivered everything really well. And Gunther was just perfect, standing there smugly while he's saying all this.
Body temperature
I
dropping
don't know
below
how I
normal
have a match,
levels.
but the build-up's been really good. Second best build-up to a Mania match after the three-way, just because the Cena and Cody stuff is so many holes in the story.
But I'm loving the promos anyway. And I just think that it's John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, Battle of the Generations. It's the kind of thing they love to put on posters up there. And both guys are over at businesses. And I think they could have easily done this without The Rock, and that's what's caused most of the holes and the lackluster movie. But I'm not that bothered by it because they're both such good promos. At least we're just getting some goddamn entertainment out of some of this shit. Anyway, and they did a really good package, speaking of Cody, on Cody Rhodes. Did you see that on Raw? Did you skip through, like most people do, all the spots and the commercials and the plugs and sales pitches and the goddamn buy this now type of thing, and you may have missed it?
I definitely missed
Temperature is
it.
now below what is required
But
for
it was a
metabolic
good
function.
couple of minutes of package on Cody with some modern music that I'm not familiar with, but network quality editing made him look like a superstar. And that's the kind of thing, again, they're excelling at here in this
Connection
company.
temporarily stabilized.
And the other thing that I will mention,
Drop in core temperature
Penta and
detected.
Dominic Mysterio had a good match, but Penta won 1-2-3, and then Carlito came in and they were beating the shit out of Penta, and Braun Breaker came out. Sorry, Goldberg, and even my old friend Rhino, sorry, but the best spear that has ever been speared in the history of wrestling, did you see Braun Breaker spear Carlito in the aisleway?
That was the best one because you didn't see him coming. You didn't see him leave his feet. You just see him like a missile coming air into Carlito. It was amazing.
And flying further than that. And then he got in the ring and speared Dominic, and then he speared Penta. And then Finn Balor attacked him, but then he got back up and tried to spear Finn. But Braun Breaker, I'm just sorry to tell you this, will be the biggest star in professional wrestling at some point in his career. I'm not putting a time frame on it, but I'm saying at some point before he's done, he will be the number one guy in the business. There's no way around it. But that was 3 hours, and not 3 hours, 2 hours and 35 minutes or so of Raw.
Well, let's now wrap things up with your thoughts on whatever you watched on WWE Raw last night.
Oh, golly, we got to talk about that, don't we? Well, let's talk about the big thing, and then we'll talk about the smaller big thing, and then the other smaller big thing, and then that's pretty much the things. But the main event of Raw, and this was for April 7th, and again, you know,
I'm going to be very, very calm today because I don't want the excuses coming my way. All of this stuff. Human being, I get disgusted about certain things that I see sometimes, and sometimes I don't. But I think today is an important day because I think today that I'm going to be, dare I say, a bit more revealing than I ever have been about where I stand on a few things in life. It's clearly necessary in light of the headlines that are scurrying all over the place over the last 24 hours. That's where we're going to get started. Headlines made by yours truly. Specifically yesterday, at the National Association of Broadcasters Conference in Las Vegas, Nevada. I was sitting down for a conversation, fireside chat, with Mike McVeigh, president of McVeigh Media, somebody who's been a mentor and a friend to me for years, helped me resurrect my career in this business after I was going in 2009. He asked me about my future as a potential presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. For those of you who didn't see it, here's more of my response.
Detecting lowering of core body temperature. Threat of hypothermia increased.
I just think that it's a mess right now. I'm not scared. There's a lot that I have to learn. I am no aficionado. Make no mistake about it. But damn it, let me hunker down for 2 or 3 months. I'll know the issues. And once that happens, then imagining me on a debate stage with these people, these politicians, this is what I do for a living. And if for no other reason than to stand on the debate stage with tens of millions of people watching, where I get to sit back and talk about what as politicians do, whether we participate in decisions before I recognize have an opportunity to do that. That is what I do. And I say, I am not a politician. I don't have a they all do. Which means I get to look at your record, what you've done, and challenge what you legitimately say, not just when the camera's rolling, but in front of my face. And you actually operated on behalf of what is the best interest of all of America. I'll stay with Ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to see it. To let you know, this is not something fun. Podcasts and stuff like that. There's so much that happens.
Warning. Vital signs indicate probable infection.
My God, I would stab him. That's it. We understand. But what I'm trying to say to you is that I'm an American citizen. And what has transpired throughout the years, as far as I'm concerned, is reprehensible. I'm a believer that the American people have been played as suckers for decades. That we've allowed politicians to become career politicians, to sit up there and pad their own wallets and look out for their own self-interest. It's been at the expense of the American people. I believe is the fact that we have a $37 trillion deficit. How is that?
Core temperature is below optimal levels.
$37 trillion.
Alert. Infection progress halted.
It's really certain things which is very, very simplistic. Of course, that's not the problem. When something needs to be said, and when I say what I said, people can dismiss it all they want to. Because I have no desire to be a politician. I'm sincere with that. I just signed a multi-year contract extension with ESPN that will pay me exponentially more than being a politician would ever be. I don't need politics. But the fact is
Detecting lowering of core body temperature. Threat of hypothermia increased.
Somebody that is scorpion left and favoring the right. I don't know what you're talking about, but I understand that the enemies when it comes to it comes to the constant point of thinking to the latest election
Let's get this over with.
Let me
come out and fight.
President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. And even though you have both Republicans and Democrats, both houses of Congress, the civil rights legislation, they were at the same stage. And Lyndon B. Johnson said, if we push this through, we will have the Negroes voting for us for the next 200 years. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure pretty close to that quote. Well, lo and behold, what has happened since then? The Democratic Party has spent the last 55 plus years receiving the black vote. So what did we do? We were transparent in our support for one party, giving them a license to take us for granted. And we alienated the other party, who naturally assumed they'd have no shot at getting our votes. And as a result, as a community, for the most part, we were disenfranchised, which speaks to some of the problems that we have had. I only bring that up to say it is legitimate when I look at the Democratic Party and I have an attitude, because I'm looking at you and I'm saying, how the hell did you forget about us? The black community makes up nearly 14% of the population. The Hispanic community makes up nearly 20% of the population. The Consensus Bureau report showed that by the year 2030, the Hispanic populace in this country would exceed over 30% of the population. Well, we were talking about woke culture and cancel culture. We were talking about problems that really, really didn't address what really existed in our communities. We had a president of Barack Obama who quietly, adroitly, skillfully went about the business of patrolling our borders and making sure that immigration issues were addressed absent comprehensive immigration reform. What does Joe Biden do? He goes into office and he says, open the damn borders. And over 12 million undocumented immigrants cross the borders, all contributing to our problems. Why shouldn't I have an attitude? Why shouldn't I look at that and say, it's a problem, you forgot about us? Why shouldn't I look at you? And I heard you talk about, think about the sound bites we saw. And I'm going to get to the Republicans in a second because we all know Trump and his tariffs is a problem right now. But I'll get to that in a second. What do we see? We saw Biden in office. We saw him clearly debilitated. Every 80-plus-year-old is not as debilitated as he appears, but he did appear that way. Yet we saw them.
Está bien, mata, voy yo.
We now learn how
Mi papá. No, yo voy, para que veas qué siente mi papá.
about his state of mind and his
¿No ocupas tú?
No.
Ahorita voy yo. Thank you, ma. Sí.
¿Te vas a ir a la de la trencito?
Yeah.
Para no bajarte del carro y él en el despagar.
by the wayside after it was made on June 27th, and the very person, Kamala Harris, whom I respect as our former vice president, became the
Core
Democratic
temperatures
nominee.
below
Almost
optimal
the same
levels.
woman that couldn't make it to the Iowa caucus in 2020 was a rock star. And if we didn't all buy
Warning.
in,
Immune response detected. Infection imminent.
we were anti-women. We were racist. We were all, and anything you could come up with. We heard it over and over and over again. That is where my disgust comes from when it comes to the left. When I say they forgot about us. They forgot about it in the economy. They forgot about it. People have money in their pockets. And they're living fruitful lives. And they have something that will result society respecting people will act better. Because if you have something to lose, guess what? You ain't trying to lose it. You're not trying to lose it. Why do I bring up laws? Why is it appropriate at this particular moment in time because we've got these terrorists, these terror wars going on? And there's some people, particularly on the side of Trump, they are all in support of terrorists. Let me be the first to say this about Donald Trump. I support terrorists. I have no problem. I do believe that the United States has been paying too much money. We've been giving them too much money out. You go to foreign countries, you see people, they talk about how you don't see American vehicles. You don't see American products nearly as much as you see other products from other nations.
Alert. Infection temporarily
If that
stabilized.
is true, then Trump is right. We are getting hosed. And something needs to be done about it. I am not averse to Donald Trump or terrorists. But I'm averse to how he's handled it. I'm averse to the fact that you're going to go after everybody. I'm averse to the fact that you didn't anticipate that China would come back with 34% tariffs of their own, and in the process of doing so, would set up meetings with allies of the United States that are now threatening not to be allies because they had tariffs imposed on them by Trump. And now because of that, they're turning against the United States and to China. Now only time will tell. Whether Trump's right. Only time will tell.
Readings indicate this area is safe.
Find ourselves in a disastrous situation. Whether recession is in place right now, whether inflation is going to boom. Only time will tell, but it's a short time. I don't want to hear a year. I don't want to hear 2 years. We can't afford that. Why do I bring all of this up? Because all of this is the kind of stuff that made me say what I said yesterday at the National Association for Broadcasters Convention. Because enough is enough. I don't want to do this. My hope is that politicians who are centrists think about the economy. Think about the industry. Think about small businesses. Think about education. Think about one another. Engage in common sense thinking. Somebody like me is there. You want to talk about Donald Trump and a potential third term? Or you want to circumvent the 22nd Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and Donald Trump ends up running for a third term? Stephen A. Smith will happily invite Barack Obama back into the mix. I think he'll beat Donald Trump. Yes, I said it. Because I think at his core, regardless of what people want to say about how he's governed, I think he's a centrist individual. It's just that both sides will polar opposites against one another. I am not oblivious to the fact that since Obama was in office, there was a white backlash that took place. I am not oblivious to the fact that that made folks hunker down and be even more divided than ever before. We get it. I understand it.
That black man in office, spewing liberal policy, telling folks they got to get to the facts because they lost the election, that this is our time. Fall back, we running the show now, and the boldness and how emboldened he felt because he was the president of the United States, how much that turned folks off and made them more resolute in going against him, and as a result, we were even more divided as a nation than ever before. I get that. I remember the joke that Cat Williams once told. God damn, effing up the country is what it's doing. Goddamn entitlements. Go watch Cat Williams talking about how folks were feeling about Obama during his presidency. Who weren't black.
Detecting lowering of core body temperature. Threat of hypothermia increased.
It's about America. Just like a rising tide lifts all boats. As a nation, we're only strong as our weakest link. And if you have the weak and the desolate amongst us, you get to be out of action. See, when I think about the Republicans, I think the Republicans are asking us, particularly Trump, trust me.
Warning.
And by the way,
Vital signs indicate probable infection.
One electoral college vote, one every swing state, he won both houses of Congress. He's got a majority of 6 years.
Core body temperature dropping.
Hamilton.
Because he recognized that they were sense. You want to ask why Steve Nixon felt the need to speak up at the NAP Congress? And he asked y'all this question. He spoke to Bernie Sanders, Alexander Ocasio-Cortez. He spoke to legal and his work. Okay, he's at 7% of the money. After they gave out that number, I'm just speculating because of how socialistic they are. So say that's a big dog. You okay with going to work and making $100 and walking home with 30? You sure about that? Well, you know, just tell me. Because these are the kind of work you never have to that's why I'm so tough. That's why I'm not on the other side. That's why everybody talks about me on the left. It's not just because I voted Democrat and I voted Kamala Harris. Situation. It's because that side I don't want to know. I'm wrong about that too because I don't. And I think about being running for president of the United States. Let me emphasize that I am for that. A lot of people say citizen. A lot of people look at his cabinet members in the positions he has them in. They're there. Let me tell you something about Steve Smith when we get inside. Again, I was reading.
Alert. Infection progress halted.
Not quite like Clinton having to be dragged by the gateways to work, right? So you folks need office with surplus. I would have done so voluntarily. I want to work both sides of the county. I'd have Democrats and Republicans in my county. They would be the ones butting heads and fighting, but their mandate would be to come to me with an idea that works for America. No one can have everything. In other words, I'm building a coalition. That's what I would want to do. Not just a stance. That wouldn't be me. One of my friends wrote notes for me and stuff like that because he was on and out. Man, if you were running for president, man, this is what you should be. Some things he said that were right, some things he said that were wrong. Because it's amazing, no matter how much I'm on television, no matter how much I'm in the public eye, people still don't know who the hell I am. So let me give you an idea.
Core temperature is below optimal levels.
It's about problem solving.
It's about fixing the issue. It's about caring about all of America, not just a segment about the issues. It's about all of those things. You know who I am. Just like you know who Donald Trump is. The problem with Democrats, you don't know who the hell they are, and you don't know who this is. You don't have any clue. I think a guy like Wes Wild Maryland can do it. I think a guy like Dr. Trevor out of Pennsylvania can do it.
Body temperature dropping below normal
Well, we
levels.
don't know. They'll have their critics. From a national perspective, you talk about West Coast governor of Maryland, Dr. Trevor governor of Pennsylvania. Okay, those are localized things. Andrew Cuomo trying to come back as mayor of New York.
Warning. Immune response detected. Infection imminent.
Before his troubles invaded the proceedings and he was moving out of office, he had to resign from office, and now he's trying to make a comeback. Of course, there are individuals as professional politicians who are far more qualified than me. But haven't y'all been paying attention to the American politics?
Due to power outages, civilians are advised to feel all
There's been having somebody that thinks he's going to say,
aware
we
of
know
the risk
that.
of hypothermia.
We trust that he's going to be who he is. You might not like Donald Trump, the terrorist. He told you he was going to do it. Some people might not like what Donald Trump was going to border, but from a 95 percentile success rate, they say he's doing his job with the border. A recession is in play, if not on its way. So certainly there are things that he has to do. He's got to fight for these. The war in Ukraine, with Russia, we don't like the fact that it seems like he's siding with Russia. But what his people are saying is, wait a minute, you want World War III? Well, I'm trying to stop all of this stuff. I look at Russia, I think they try to take control of Ukraine. I look at China, they're making footprints, and they're gaining footprints in Africa and other places in the world. Why? Because they love them.
Drop in core temperature detected.
Amongst other things that they want to do. They're anti-American. We understand that, and we maybe I have to monitor myself. And that's it. But when I think about me,
Levels.
make no mistake about that. You can be proud of your ass in jail about I'll put your ass in jail in the heartbeat. I don't like criminals. I don't like people who steer the public from living their normal lives. National security is a big deal. Trade, as opposed to trade wars, are a big deal to me. Immigration, I'll tell you this right now. See crazy as it sounds.
Core body temperature drop.
We don't need lawless. First of all, lawless Americans should be in jail, and lawless people who ain't Americans should be out of the country. Outside of them, guess what I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not throwing anybody out. I'm not supporting anybody. You know what I'm doing? Outside of those criminals, I'm leaving others alone. But the bullshit. So we get out. Shut it down. Gotta get out. Staying on this thing while I'm still thinking about it.
Body temperature dropping below normal levels.
Flat tax. The top 1%. Make it $200,000 or so. I'm looking at it from the standpoint that why do I support flat tax? I'm tired of the country seeing one day 33, another way 35, another way 39% of my money that you take as the federal government. Why can't you take 27%? Let's just throw that out. Workers can start giving the first 5% of their income from Social Security. One of my boys gave me that idea. I kind of like that. Kind of like that. And actually, what? What's going on there? I don't understand that. And then I look at a $37 trillion debt. Am I supposed to believe that we're just spending willy-nilly on all of these things and no money is coming into your pocket as politicians? What's the number one reason I tell you outside of being private and not wanting stress in my life as a body temperature drop in politics? Because I'm getting paid. And when I'm getting paid, politics ain't gonna pay me. That's my position. Then I look at some of these reports of what politicians were. Not to mention the game. We got politicians that were dead. No, we got politicians that didn't have so much money.
Warning. Infection levels increasing.
And now it's millions.
We got company.
All I'm saying is that I am very sincere when I tell you I have no desire to be a politician. I have no use. But I have been asked by folks in the business world, folks in corporate America, folks on Capitol Hill, plus folks who are principal, you should only consider. And to us, we won't go into the possibility. Stayed out next. Stephen A. Just don't shut up. But what I want y'all to understand is that I
Core temperature is below optimal levels.
It was necessary.
Alert. Infection temporarily stabilized.
Not just in our nation's capital with this terrorism, but also how helpless the Democratic side is to do anything about it. All they can do is complain. Nothing else. They didn't have sense. One great about respect. Speaking on the floor in the U.S. House for 25 hours plus. How? Parties in power. So it comes down to one. That's all. Just want to let y'all know where I'm at. Not interested in but I was a lot over this all. That's what I do. By the way, this Sunday, I'm scheduled to be on the business. You're stepping out for some and practically every other very taking it very seriously. So I have to go to the teams. Sit down here. Just
Steven.
Detecting lowering of core body temperature. Threat of hypothermia increased. You are now entering a safe area. Warning. Infection progressing.
Mr. McMahon in the corner of Triple H when he defends the title against The Rock. Wow. Vince is personally going to be in my corner. I'm flattered. Really honored that he would do that. But I know how his dad is. All due respect, he's a little bit of a glory hound. Well, we all are. I don't want Vince to steal my thunder. This is and The Rock. I want to do this myself. Vince could be in my corner and have a front row seat as I destroy The Rock's dreams once and for all. From Monday night, I gave you a little lesson about what it takes to be a real champion like myself. The World Wrestling Federation champion, to be the best, not just to talk about it, but to be the best. Rock, it takes a lot of sweat. It takes a lot of tears. And Rock, Monday night, I showed you firsthand in this very ring, it takes a whole lot of your blood. He can come out here at any moment. He's first now, buddy. He can just bust right out here. Now, Rock, you keep coming back, I'll keep teaching you that same lesson. Rock, if it takes me 1,000,000 times, I will teach you that lesson over and over. But Rock, it does not matter how much sweat comes from your body, how many tears you cry. It does not matter how much of the people's blood comes from your body. It will be all for nothing.
Core temperature is dipped below optimal levels.
The World Wrestling Federation champion, Vince Rock, will never.
Body temperature dropping below normal levels. Drop in core temperature detected. Alert. Infection progress halted. Body temperature dropping below normal levels.
What? At 70% of your best? Maybe 60%? I'd say a little flat, your shirt's a little bit baggy. I tell you what, it doesn't really matter what percent you're at. I don't even care if you're 100%. Because tonight, in this ring, it's gonna be at me.
Drop in core temperature detected.
Tango inbound! Turret done for! Target is in the open! Maintain pressure. AO!
Hey, Mamach. How are you, Mamach? You're passing this crap.
Warning. Infection levels increasing. Core body temperature is critically low.
Wait, what? What happened? A ver, dime. Pero ¿cómo? Shuts off? I think it's a game. I'll buy one of the memory.
Body
So, Mama.
temperature dropping below normal levels.
You think so? I'll buy a new one.
Nice and easy. Oh, it's all over for you.
Attention, all JTF. Remain indoors and do not attempt to travel for
position herself somewhere at ringside because as Mrs. Helmsley, we know that she's going to aid and abet her husband just like you've seen her do many times before.
Ain't in a bed. Wait a minute, that's
So
criminal.
therefore, I think The Rock is outnumbered. The Rock has not asked for my help, nor anyone else's. But I have to tell you that after watching tonight, after seeing what happened at WrestleMania, I have decided to put someone in his corner.
Uh-oh.
The odds a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Now, some of you will say Mick Foley. It's Mick Foley. Was it one time, one night only, and he's very happy to retire at home. That very special individual who's going to be in the Rock corner, who's going to have his back. And that's why we love the 2 weeks. And it's with great pleasure tonight that I'm announcing to you that in his corner is going to be none other.
Warning. Infection progressing.
Remember.
Opportunity to change your mind. Think about it, Mother. Do it, Linda. What's your decision?
Drop in core temperature detected.
Attention. Overnight temperatures expected to be lethally cold. Civilians are advised to wear layered, non-cotton clothes and touch up. Any civilians outside are advised to return to shelter of any kind immediately.
temperature is below optimal levels. Antiviral cache tagged and mapped in Dark Zone.
When the Rock woke up this morning, he was feeling great. The Rock was feeling great knowing that at Backlash, it was going to be Triple H and Vince in his corner and saying the right one. The Rock didn't think about that. The Rock was fine with that. The Rock liked that. But now, after hearing the McMahon's announcement, the Rock says that was once a great situation just got better.
Body temperature dropping below normal levels.
No mercy here. Tango. Contact.
Warning, infection levels increasing. Antiviral cache secured. Flare gun required for extraction is now detected.
Was when Linda McMahon, your mom, came out here for a very special announcement. Man, you know, while we're talking talked about having kids someday, and it was a whole family thing. Well, Jim, to be quite honest with you, I wouldn't feel comfortable leaving our kids with your mom.
Core body temperature dropping.
Man, your mother reared her hand back and struck down her only daughter. And something like that. I won't bring our kids anywhere near. What's she gonna slap them around? And alright, maybe I snapped a little bit. See if you can slap, maybe I did snap. I grabbed Linda. I wouldn't have really given her the pedigree. Oh, yeah, sure. But let's face it, deep down inside, I'm a hell of a guy. I'm a nice guy. I would have actually given her the pedigree. I would have scared her. I would have let her go. But no, your hot-head brother runs over and punches me in the face. I didn't know, too. And I understand. Shane's always been a little bit of a mama boy. Uh-oh. There's nothing wrong with loving your mommy.
Approaching for evac.
Hostile inbound. Detecting lowering of core body temperature. Threat of hypothermia increased. Core body temperature dropping.
Seconds to go.
countdown is on. Backlash, 10 days left for you holding the WWF title. Go ahead and live it up with the WWF title. Go ahead and have a picnic with the title. Fly a kite with the title. Go down to the Philadelphia Zoo and suck some monkey and boat with the title. Because Triple H The Rock says this is come Backlash. It's going to be you and The Rock and Vince McMahon. If you want to stick your nose in The Rock's business, then The Rock's got a rattlesnake ready to strike on your candy ass.
Now entering a safe area.
You see, Triple H, regardless of what you throw in front of The Rock, regardless of how many lumberjacks you place in front of The Rock,
We got a serious threat I need to tell you about.
the next 10 days, it doesn't matter. Because Triple H quite simply put, The Rock says you're looking at the next WWF champion. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.